In today's episode, we're going to dive into a special dicho, and the dicho is...
God's children are not for sale.
I'm Alejandro Lubiano.
And I'm Alondra Lubiano.
And this is the KEDICHO Podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the dichos we grew up hearing from our parents and grandparents in our Latino household.
So today, you guys, we're doing a very special podcast. This is not a dicho that we were raised listening to. This is actually just a dicho that we listened to or we heard for the first time this past weekend.
And the same way that dichos leave a big impression and they have a big meaning, when we heard this saying, it really did struck us, and it moved me, and it made me feel a certain way.
Yes, so in this episode, we really do advise viewer discretion. I don't know how else to say it.
Viewer discretion is advised.
We will be touching certain topics that will be triggering for some people, so we do advise you guys to use your own discretion when it comes to listening to this podcast. So let's go dive deep.
Los hijos de Dios no están en venta.
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yes, if you have not noticed where we got that, actually, can you do me a favor? Can you tap in my face? In the camera.
Oh, okay. Gotta be more specific.
Yeah, if you've seen it already, you know where we got that saying from, or that quote, in fact.
But if you haven't seen it already, we're talking about the movie The Sound of Freedom, directed by Alejandro Monteverde. Oh, that's a beautiful last name.
That is a beautiful last name.
I just pictured it.
I know. A monte that's verde.
That's gorgeous. I wonder if he was from those regions.
Yeah. So, Sound of Freedom, guys. We went to go see this movie this weekend, and it was a family activity that we did with Alondra's sibling
and my parents
and her parents, and we kind of came together and said, like, yeah, we should really go watch this movie.
We never really go out with my parents like that, or my sister, to the movies, especially because my sister has small kids. So we actually made it a point to all of us, we should go, just us as adults, triple date night, and we went to go watch that movie together, and it was very impactful for all of us.
Definitely. So much that, like, it has made us realize that, like, after seeing this movie, we wanted to help out in any way that we can. And like, the main thing is, like, we have a podcast, the KEDICHO Podcast, which we are watching right now. And we said, like, we're not going to limit ourselves only to dichos, because the bigger essence of it is to talk about sayings in general.
Yeah. And how are we spreading those sayings, or the message of those dichos?
Exactly.
And we want to leave a positive impact after you listen to our podcast. And so we felt that it was only right to talk about this movie. And it's not even about the movie, honestly. It's about what really is going on in today's world, or the issue that's really going on in this world. It's
a very big issue. If you do not know what that issue is, that's why we advise going and seeing this movie. If you're watching this episode and you haven't seen the movie, we advise you to
give it a chance.
Yeah, if you have not watched this movie, definitely recommend watching this movie, because there is a very, very clear message, a very deep message that this movie shares with its audience,
and it shakes you to your core, and it makes you really think about what is really going on in this world. It opens your eyes to a reality that otherwise you don't even acknowledge it, or it's somewhere deep in the back of our consciousness, and this movie just kind of makes it be right in front of you.
Remember last episode where I talked about the screens?
There's two screens.
There's two screens going on, and then a third one. Well, imagine not that one. It's like so far away. As in, like, there's something that you don't even think about, that it doesn't even. There's so many other screens before you even get it to front.
And I don't like. Screen. You don't even give it the chance to get to the front because it's so uncomfortable.
It's no chance. It's like if anything, like, if you have if it's happened to you about when you think about it before this movie, or before people talked about this,
before it was a hot topic right now,
right? It will come up, like, you would think about human trafficking, and the idea would come up, the thought, and then you'd be like, oh no, I mean, I'm sure people have that handled, or I don't think it's a big issue right now,
right?
But you would dismiss it.
It's not really happening.
Yeah, like
it's rare that it happens.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the
thought that because that's what would happen in my head.
Yeah, because I would be like, I see my surrounding and I see the life that I've lived, and I haven't really experienced anything. I haven't experienced anything to that degree that when you come out of the movie theater, you're like, okay, this is serious.
Right.
This is like, I get it now.
It's like the curtain has unveiled what darkness this world does have.
The curtain has been exposed.
Yeah.
And once you saw what's behind the curtain,
it's kind of like, am I just going to go and continue living in the world that I lived before I knew this information? Or am I going to want to talk about it so that other people can be aware of that and kind of make a difference? And it's not like we're not making this podcast so you can go and travel to a third world country and stop somebody from doing these evil acts. Like, that's not what you have to do to make a difference. What we're doing this so that you can just be aware and just so you can be informed and protect those people around you.
And yes, of course, the raising awareness is very key here, because the more we talk about it, the more people know about it, the more difficult it's going to be for these individuals to continue doing this
evil acts
in the shadows, right?
Yeah.
Because then there wouldn't be
any shadows. You're exposing them to the light.
And you yourself, if you are informed and you are aware of it, you're like a light
in the darkness.
You're adding. And so if it's like a group of people that are aware and there's way more people, then if you're just one single candle in a dark room, you cast a light, right? You shine a light. But is there multiple candles, there will be much more impact in the dark room than just one person. So that's why it's so important
to be aware and to talk about it.
Yes.
So God's children are not for sale.
Los hijos de Dios no están en venta.
What does that
significa?
Yeah. So God's children are not for sale. Let's break that down into two parts.
Yes. God's
children is, I believe, the first part. And what does that really mean? Do you have an interpretation of what that might mean?
With the context given that if in the spiritual Christianity branch, God's children in reality, or when someone refers to God's children, is everybody. Everyone is God's children, right? But as a saying or as a dicho, it can also be specifically as the children.
Actual children? Minors?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So it could be referred to two different things, right? Yeah.
At least from my perspective.
Because we're all children in the eyes of God, if you want to view it in that light.
Yeah.
So we're all made to be pure, and we're all made to be nice and pure and holy and loving to one another, which is what he intends. You know, this is what the universe wants. It wants good. It wants you to be a good human being and give good experiences to other people, right?
Right.
Which that's not to say like if you're doing bad things, I don't think even those people who are doing those evil things, I don't think that they're not God's children. I just feel like they're lost souls. We're all God's children.
Correct. That they have just deviated so deep into the darkness that
they've forgotten who they are and where they're from, which is very sad.
Yeah, it's like they're like, again, the analogy of the dark room, and there's the light right in the center or in the area, and then they are somewhere in the corners behind the crevices where like where there's shadow, and they're like, and when they're there, they're not able to see
what's right and wrong anymore.
Correct. And
because we're all given a choice.
Yes.
We're all God's children, and he always gives us the choice to, decipher what and who you want to be in this life.
Yeah, so then let's continue with the saying. So God's children are not for sale. For sale, it's a human thing. Something that humans created in this reality. Yeah. We were talking about money. Like take apart or
take away
the context that it's being said. Just when something's on sale, for sale.
What does that mean?
Exactly. Like if you're breaking that down, it's like, and as human beings, as people from this earth, there was a time where you used to exchange items and goods and items for other goods and items, right?
Right.
Like I have 12 chickens.
I'll give you 2 pigs for them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's something of the same value that you see, like, okay, we can do a fair trade.
Through time, you started to see we started to see, or our ancestors started to see, that it was much easier to have something of value. How do we get to the context of the saying
of this dicho? Yeah,
children, God's children, or
are not
children
for sale.
in general, are not for sale, right? So in the world, the current world that we live in, right, modern world, and probably even back then as well, because this is not only a right now problem.
Yeah,
it used to be a
this
back
has always
then
been
problem,
a thing that
right?
People really do trade off their children, their daughters, their most prized possession for something of equal value, which is
right. Yeah,
interesting that you would do that with a human.
Because then you would think about it. Okay, so why? Or let's get back to the example so we can build up. Okay, so then you start living in the society, in this city where you obtain gold, and then a certain amount of gold gets you something, right? Goods and services. But when did that option of I will sell you this human for money?
Yeah,
this
that's
human
something
being,
that is
this person
has been so inhumane from the beginning, but people still did it out of power, convenience, ego, all of these bad virtues to have, honestly.
Right.
And people were enslaved for generations. And we're talking back then when slavery was illegal. Or I'm sorry, when slavery was legal.
Or it's not that it was legal. It was just something that existed
It's
in
something
many
that existed
cultures.
and nobody really questioned it because it was to their benefit.
Right.
Until other people started to speak up for those people who had no voice.
Right.
And they put their foot down. And they're like, this is not okay. We are human. We are just as valuable and worthy as you, who is sitting there forcing me to do these things.
Right. Because when it comes to that, slavery, and I guess in the days, and back in the days, it was like, oh, well, I own some chickens. I own some pigs. Oh, I own some cattle, and they all serve a purpose. And I also own
a family.
I own a person.
It would have been families too.
A family, or like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I own this group of people because they provide a service for me, and I gave money for that. I gave something that I earned or
right.
or made. Right. I earned this amount of money, and like me fue bien.
And because these situations happen and you trade something for humans, it's kind of like they don't see them as human because they're tradable. They're like trading cards, which is very wrong, which is why it's so inhumane
that in
to
itself,
sell people.
Correct.
Because if something is if you can sell it, it doesn't have dignity. It doesn't have a purpose.
Right.
They don't have that's kind of what it paints it as, which is very unfortunate, and it's very sad, which is why I'm happy that is no longer legal. But believe it or not, now there are more slaves on this world now compared to when slavery was illegal. And that's a fact.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And that's so sad.
Is that because we're at a higher population of people that comes with it? Or, I mean, it doesn't matter either way.
I don't know. I don't know the reason, but I just don't understand why. It just is that way. And it's not, I'm not going to question, why is that? Because there's more population. No, it just is.
More people, or there's a bigger group of people.
And yet nobody talks about that.
Right. Like it's so quiet. Like, we don't really talk about that.
And they say, and here's the thing that they're saying, apparently obviously it's a business that is almost, if not already, has surpassed the drug business, the drug trading business. And they say that the United States is the number one
customer.
USA is the number one customer and consumer of this malpractice, inhumane practices.
That's crazy.
And the fact that we live here and we hear these stories all the time of, at least I do. I don't know if, I feel like guys, like men, aren't as aware or triggered or afraid of these type of Facebook posts that I see. Because I do see them often, how it's just like on Facebook, I'm just scrolling and somebody's sister, somebody's mom, somebody's daughter has a post that's obviously for the public to share, and they're like, this morning while I was at Target, there was this man following me around and I had to call security that had to help me and they had to go with me to my car basically. And whenever I noticed that this person was following me, they went away, they quickly left or whatever.
Right.
And these are posts that I see so often, and it's just so scary. I'm just like, why does this, like this? And when I would read those posts, honestly, it was scary. I was like, what are those men capable of? What do they want? But now it's kind of really, it made me really realize after watching this movie that the US is the number one consumer. It's obvious what they want. And that is so scary.
Right. Because then the question would be, okay, so what do they want you for? Like, why would they steal this person? Why?
Yeah.
Like
would they actually do harm to me?
Are they going to put them to do labor? Or, there's a commodity, or there's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
there's a reason why. And
it's crazy that it has hit so close to home. Like these Facebook posts that I'm talking about, they're talking about Arlington, they're talking about Denton, they're talking about local places. That's why I see it on my feed. And I'm just like...
They've gotten people.
Exactly. And so what I'm saying is that before this movie, this weekend, when I would read them, I would be like, oh, that's actually kind of scary. That's kind of creepy. But for me, the idea of being trafficked or that concept was kind of almost like a conspiracy, because nothing had ever been really come to light about it in my reality. It was kind of like I don't know what would happen. I don't know what those men want. But now, knowing all of that, I'm just like, I don't know.
There's some very, very twisted people out there to even make that a reality. Like there is a percentage, or there is a number of people that is what they're into or seeking. And
what makes it like what kind of ill?
You see how like we don't have any words to even like.
They're sick in the head. They're sick in the head.
It's something that's wrong. It's an illness. It's the illness of society. It's like, why is this a thing, and why is it in the shadow? That's a thing.
Yeah. Why do people support that?
Well, if people do support that, is because
they're also sick in the head.
Exactly. And
there's nothing that I could ever think of to rationalize doing these things. Like, I can't imagine.
Los niños de Dios, o los niños en general, los niños no están en venta. This was said by Jim Caviezel in the movie Sound of Freedom. And when I was in the movie theater sitting and let me say this, the movie theater that we went to and the movie room that we were on, it was packed, guys.
Yeah, I haven't seen a movie theater so packed like that ever since like I went to watch The Avengers. Like something along those lines. It was so packed.
Yeah, like if it was a premiere, and it wasn't a premiere anymore. It was a
few days old already.
It was a week.
Oh, it was a week.
It was like a week old already, and
it was packed.
And it was still packed.
And here's the thing about that movie. It's crazy because they had tried to make that movie come out like 5 years ago.
Correct.
But nobody wanted to release it. In fact, Disney tried to take ownership.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where it went, the makers of the movie
tried to...
well, obviously they needed someone to help them get it into the movie theaters.
Yeah.
Be the who was gonna produce it or gonna be the...
I don't know.
The production studio that was gonna help it get it to distribution and all that stuff.
Get it into theaters, the big screen.
Correct. So the big contender was Fox, and then Fox got bought by Disney. So then Disney owned it, and then Disney just had it, and then so what ended up happening?
But they didn't have the they intention. Had it. They didn't have the intention to actually put it out there.
Well, that's what.
And that's what's sick.
What's crazy? It's crazy to hear that that's what happened to that movie. Reasoning, we can all talk about the reasoning, why or why not. And that's where like you can think and go down that
rabbit hole
of thing. Why would this big would not want this movie? And people say, well, the reasoning supposedly is that, oh, well, it's because it's a very touchy subject. Who would go see a movie about child trafficking?
Right.
So the people who made the movie were like, okay, so if you're not going to be putting it out, we want the movie back. And then they went through a whole process of trying to get the ownership back again.
Yeah.
they successfully got the rights back, and then that's whenever
Angel Studios came in and they're like, we'll take it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interviews and podcasts about this movie right now, and it's a hot topic, and I've been listening to some, and I remember listening to one where the director Alejandro Monteverde was talking about how desperate and almost he had like given up on the idea, like no one's gonna take this movie because of the fact that people are saying it's a touchy topic. Nobody's gonna want to see a movie about sex trafficking children, until he said that it's a obra de Dios, what, like a God, how do you say it in English?
An act of God.
By the grace of God, only, I see, like basically like it was just too good to be true type of thing, that Angel Studios was the one that took them in.
Correct. Yeah.
And that nobody else was willing to do that.
And because Angel Studios, we were able to be in that movie theater room, being able to watch this storytelling, cinema, graphic movie, and then whenever that phrase within the movie, right? Within the movie, the first time that he said that phrase was like, all right, Tim or
Jim.
No, pero
The other guy was Tim Ballard.
No, por eso in the movie they asked him during the movie, they asked Jim Tim.
Tim is the actor.
Tim Ballard.
Jim is
Tim Ballard.
the real
Tim Ballard.
Jim.
Tim Ballard.
This Tim.
All right.
You're right.
So within the movie, they asked the actor who was playing Tim Ballard, and so in the movie, like, why are you doing this? Why are you working in this? And why do you want it so bad? Yeah, why do you want to pursue this?
Yeah,
right?
Why do you really want to be doing this?
And then when he said because God's children are not for sale. Ooh, holy shit!
What happened?
Damn, it's like
that one hit you?
Yeah, like when he said that, and I was just like, damn, yeah, you're right, man. That's the whole message. That's the thing. It's like they
said it perfectly in one sentence.
Children are not for sale, for anybody's pleasure, for anybody's desires, for anybody's to own, to do what they want. They are not for sale. And then in the movie, yes, he said that because he wanted to stop this from happening. Yeah. As in, like, that was the message that he wanted to be using, or that was the thing pushing him forward, because that's the reality that he wanted to live in. Yeah. And that's, and I guess it impacted me because, yes, that is something that I would love that it was a reality, or that is a reality. That children were not sold. Yeah.
While watching the movie, I didn't realize that he was the one that played Jesus until he said that sentence. I didn't know that was him until he said that. I was like, what?
Wait, what gave it away?
I think it was whenever he said that sentence. That was whenever they obviously purposefully framed him center into on the screen. Yeah. And they put him there, and he took a moment to say it, like almost as if staring into the camera. Mm-hmm. And that's when I saw, like, oh wow, he looks just like the painting or the charcoal drawing that I have. And that's because I had studied his face so long when I was drawing that. That's when I realized.
Oh, so you use him.
He was, yeah.
You use whenever he played the Jesus. Passion of the Christ, and in my whenever he played Jesus in the Passion of the Christ. Yeah. You use him, the actor, for your charcoal painting, and because you were looking at his portrait
for so long
and then
hours.
When you saw it, I mean, I wonder. I mean, I kind of knew. I knew because I had seen interviews before we even saw the movie, where they would bring up him saying that he played Jesus. They would introduce him, and that he talked about that he played Jesus.
No, I didn't watch anything before I went to go watch this movie.
Yeah, so I had preconceived knowledge that he was the one from Passion of the Christ. But that would have been very interesting. But I would have noticed immediately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would have thought somebody who drew his face for so long and was really trying to go in depth into the details would recognize the same guy. But I didn't. I didn't recognize him. Yeah, until he said that, and I was like, wait a minute. And that's when I whispered it to you. He's the guy that played Jesus, right? And you're like, yes.
I'm just like, girl, I heard you, but I'm watching and I'm feeling I'm in the scene, girl.
So we were sitting in the theater, front and center, I was choking on my tears, honestly. I didn't shed a tear until the end, but it was one of those moments or one of those movies where if I let a tear go, I will ugly cry. Like I will sob. Oh, so it wasn't just like I will shed tears. I would sob. Like I felt it in my throat, just it happened in various moments. That was one of them.
Yeah. Definitely for me, my eyes got very teary, and the way that you said it, my crying's not here, by the way. No, my crying's like right here. Like I feel right here, the tear ducts.
Well, that's the calm type of cry for me. Like I could shed a tear with no facial expression.
Oh, you were so you were involving neck because it was like sob,
like suspirar, like like that. Like if I unleashed that, I would be like audibly crying
right
in the club. You know, I would literally be in there,
but
sobbing. Shedding a tear. I could do that in a theater. No one would know. You know.
Did you?
I didn't do that until the end.
Oh, okay.
And then let me tell you, when that movie was over and the special message happened, and you know everybody was walking back out, I couldn't even look at you for a moment. I couldn't remember. We couldn't even say anything to each other because we both know what we experienced. And I feel like if I even looked at you, Alejandro,
I know.
I know. Cried, and not the cute cry.
I did, and
not. ¿Tú también?
No, yes. I did not make eye contact with anybody.
Yeah, not my mom.
Because I know that I was gonna. They're gonna see my eyes watery one, and then
they would understand exactly what you're feeling, and they will know
exactly. As in, like, you got the message, right? Yeah,
oh, man. Yeah, and so whenever I saw my sister and my brother-in-law took a while to come out, and when I finally saw my sister, and she had her eyes like bloodshot red and like her nose was pink, and I already knew. It was like, girl, don't come to me, and then I saw my brother-in-law. He was also so teary-eyed, and I get it for them specifically because they have those little kids in their house right now. They have
that must have been more impactful because they can, like he said, right? He would put his kids' faces on the children that he tries to rescue, so that it could be more impactful.
The guy on the true story, Tim Ballard, the guy who really lived this.
Yeah.
He would put his children's face, he would picture his own child in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah, he would visualize so that like it can become real for him, so he can say, "That's my child." What
to what extent
am I going? Like exactly. Say it.
To what extent are you willing to go to have your child safe in your arms?
To what extent am I going to go
to save my child?
To save my child, because that's when it's personal. That's when you make it personal.
Oh yeah.
When I bet when, for me, I could just imagine other parents.
Yeah.
And like what they must feel, but I don't know.
But we're not parents.
If I have, like, I couldn't be like Torito, my
no,
cat,
I don't even think about my cat.
And we can't even, like, my cat got trafficked.
No, and I kind of did think of my nephew for an instant, but that was something that was so, again, like, I don't want to think about it type of moment.
Right.
Where I saw that little boy in the first moment. He said he was 5, and I was like, I don't want to think about it. Or I think he said he just turned 8 or something. I don't know, something like that.
No me acuerdo.
The point is that he was a little boy. It was I remember now. It was whenever they're taking the pictures for the modeling.
Okay.
And I just knew in the moment, I was like, I can't. And I thought of my nephew for an instant, and I was like, I can't, because I will ugly cry in that moment. I mean, aquí in my throat, un nudo en la garganta, literally.
Right. And I bet it's much easier for a parent to picture their children.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Than it is to like your nephew, because you see them once in a while.
Yeah, they say that there's nothing like the love of your children. Right. There's nothing that compares to the love for your children. Nothing will ever compare.
Right.
And that's something that we have yet to experience.
Correct.
But we still feel like it's something that we want to talk about here on our podcast,
because the message is worth spreading, and I feel it's very important to spread.
Yeah. And what can you do at home or like in your own life to, help prevent these things from happening, right? Like that's kind of also something that we can talk about. Like it doesn't have to be the extent of losing your child to a sex trafficker. It could also just be protecting your children in your own home from these type of from pedophiles.
Aware. Yeah, being aware,
knowing the signs of somebody who's sick in the head and they're a pedophile.
Right, because one of the things I noticed from the movie and also from in a little bit of what they talk about, how they steal the kids, right?
How they lure them in.
They run up them. They study the behavior of parents. They study the behavior of so they're literally against you guys, against the parents, against the people
who want to protect them.
They're studying how easy would it be to steal your kid from you. And if you are those parents that are not aware, well, you're a target already.
Exactly.
And also a lot of that happens in other third world countries, a lot of South America or Central America, and I bet in other areas in the world. But third world countries.
Why do you think that? Do you think it's because they don't have the social media to tell them that these are the signs of somebody who is predatorial?
Because the struggle is tougher out there.
They're more in survival mode, so they're not going to be keeping an eye out for the safety of their children. They're more so keeping an eye out for the fact that they make enough money to feed their families.
I need to provide for my family, and me spending
a whole day at work while they're at home it just is what it is.
Yeah, and it creates that detachment from your children. Yes, you're their dad. Yes, you're their mom. But you see them just only every afternoon, and then when y'all go out,
there's not really that connection where I'm giving you these tools for life.
Yeah. Do they know their children that well, or do they know their interests? Do they know their? But I mean, I know nothing about that. So I mean, the only point or the only thing I wanted to say is that these people are predatorial towards those kids, and they'll analyze, they'll think, they'll use the human brain to solve the problem of like, how can I steal this kid from their parents? And the methods are creative. Like the one in the movie they show that they were doing a
modeling agency.
Correct, right? And they lured them with fame, and
they promised them success and
exactly
money and fame, and
and the parent, well, you can see them, oh yeah, I would really want this for my child, my child wants it, and then I want to see them smile when I have it, and then what did we get in the movie, or what do a lot of parents get? They get deceived.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, and it's so sad that this is a true story. Even that is a true story. Like that model from Colombia was really trafficking children. There's images of her whenever they were already doing the rescue missions. The agents were already taking images from afar and seeing like who this person is, and there's images out of her in the internet. It's just like so sick.
And for what? Why were they doing all this stuff?
For money.
For the money. Yeah.
She wasn't necessarily the one doing these evil things. She was partaking in it because she was providing the children. Yeah. She was luring them in for the money.
They were the sellers for the
pedophiles.
People, exactly. And there is a market. And it's crazy that there is a market. And then there's such a high demand for it from these pedophiles, pretty much. And like, just to think about that, like, if there's a demand for it, and what the hell?
Yeah, and
it's even that.
Right, and even like they use them for multiple reasons. They use these children for pleasure, but they also, whenever they say that they don't need them anymore, they end up unaliving them for their organs, and they sell it for money.
And still for more money.
Or sacrificial rituals.
Well, yeah, when it comes to that.
Which is very wrong. It's very so far out that you don't really know until you know. It's kind of like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
Like, why would you do that? Like, bro, get it together.
Like, what the... Okay. Talking about that, okay? It's very difficult because we don't normally talk about that.
No, I don't think about it.
I have not talked about you about...
We've never had this conversation.
Exactly. Like, what do you know? What have you heard?
Exactly. I don't know much.
What books have you read where they talk about that? And or what videos, what conspiracy videos have you watched?
The only time that I've heard about, the rituals and sacrificial rituals or just things like that was within the Catholic Church, when they say, like, don't allow it, just make sure that you're watching people who take the body of Christ, la hostia, because there's people with bad intentions out there. And when I would hear that, I was like, okay, like, if you say so. But this kind of just, I guess, supports that mindset of, like, be wary of, the body of Christ or your children or, like, these things that have such value to you. Like, don't just be aware of that. There are people that exist in this world who do have bad intentions. And
let's call them what they are.
What?
Evil.
Evil. Yeah. Honestly, pure evil. There's nothing more evil in my...
There is nothing more evil than that. Well, el diablo, pero that's where that energy is coming from,
and they feed them.
And it's like Jordan Peterson explained it. How is it that someone gets to that level? Because according to his research and to what he understands about the world, or the old world, or what people have talked about, and he definitely knows more than me, but I'm just gonna kind of say it what he refers to.
Right.
How does one person reach that level of evilness?
How?
Well, it starts with one step of you knowing that there's a bad thought in your head. And normally, I mean, we all have what they call them intrusive thoughts sometimes, right? Yeah. You don't know what they are, right?
Like, sometimes I'm driving and, like, what if I just go like this?
Exactly, right?
Like, obviously I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get off the freeway, but
and it's like that thought comes up and you're just like, get the hell away from, or get out. It's like, stop it.
Yeah, for me, like, when I get those thoughts, I'm just like, I question it. Why would I even think that?
Right.
That's wrong.
Right.
And for me, I say it. That's wrong.
That's wrong. Don't do that. Brain, please. Don't give me this thoughts. Dude, really?
Honestly, and
you check it. You go like Cesar Milan, go like
the dog whisper.
Right?
Yeah.
And like you have to be aware of those thoughts.
What is it called? Like, nip it in the butt.
Yeah. And so
these people who have these thoughts,
it's those thoughts come to them as well. And then the thing is, like, the thought knocks on the door, right? When it comes to you, it knocks on your door. And then so they, instead of being like, you're not welcome here,
they get curious.
They let it in, they study it, they kind of go like, okay, yeah, if I do this, and then they start thinking about it
until it becomes an action.
So how much attention you give that thought, and then if also another person, Napoleon Hill, or if you've heard about your thoughts become reality, like that thought lingers, right? That intrusive thought. Think, therefore you are. I think therefore I am. That's right. That's the same, but no. But the other thing is, like, whatever you think becomes real.
Oh, Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
I thought you said Napoleon Dynamite. I'm just kidding. I've never seen that movie. I want to watch it.
When I watched, okay, no,
we're not gonna go there. Sorry, we're having a serious talk. Intrusive thoughts. So yeah, the intrusive thoughts comes in, and then, like, they give it the time. So then there is time for the intrusive thought to, like, kind of like nester there. And then all of a sudden
that's no longer an intrusive thought. It's just something natural that you have in your mind, and because you let that in, you let that evil, that bad idea, that thing that you should have been like, no, stop it, no, that's not right. I understand what's right and wrong, and because I understand what's right and wrong, I'm not gonna let that come in my temple, come in my energy, my body, my soul. I'm not gonna let it. And some people let that in, and it's a little bit, it's just a thought, and it's just a thought that they let in. But that thought, it's like it's a semillita que va creciendo. It's like a little seed that starts growing, and then
there's this quote that kind of sounds similar. I don't know if you've heard it. It's about the two wolves. That there's a good wolf and the bad wolf. Mm-hmm. And then they like go toward, like they battle each other. Mm-hmm. And the question is who wins? I'm saying it all wrong. I have it written in my journal. I better say it.
So it's an actual proverb of Native Americans.
Okay.
The proverb goes, little Native American kid comes to his grandpa, ask him about something, and then the grandpa says, well, the thing is, we have two wolves inside of us, inside of our head or inside of our spirit, and one is very good and humble, happy, joyful, honest, all those good qualities, and we have another wolf where it's mean, bad, evil, jealousy, and all that stuff. And then they're in constant war inside of us, and
so the little boy asks,
and at the end,
who wins?
Grandpa. Who ends up winning? The grandpa replies, it's whoever you feed.
And that is very true to what you were just saying right now.
And so what I was explaining before, it didn't come from me. It came from the research, Jordan Peterson. If you're seeing a pattern, I'm a big, I consume a lot of content from Jordan Peterson and the people that he interviews and stuff.
Yeah, he's very insightful. I really like his lectures. So
because he opens that conversation with people to have those difficult conversations about the world. And
imagine Jordan Peterson here one day
and KEDICHO. That would be amazing. Jordan Peterson, if you watch this one day, it'll be a pleasure to get you to share with us what you think about sayings and like the importance of sayings and why they have withstood the
test of time.
Exactly. And it'll be very interesting to get you to think about that and give us something juicy for us. And I know that he's going to be talking about something juicy because we were watching the Bible series that he had in his YouTube channel where he talked about the first book in the Bible, and then he gave a talk in the beginning, and then he just is like, in the beginning there was the word, and then he stayed on that phrase
for like an hour
and a half, and he's like, oh my gosh, guys,
the class is over.
The class is over, and I only got to like the third letter or the third word, and like I was like, oh my god, he can dive it deep. I guess the KEDICHO podcast kind of like gets a lot of that essence because the way that he breaks things down, we want to kind of do that with
because Alejandro can talk.
Well, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, and all those people who like get to a topic and they dive deep and they try to break it down. That's my kind of people, and I like seeing the deepness in the world and the meaning.
I enjoy
words.
Listening. I'm more of a listener, but here we are.
Yeah, contributing because we all got something to contribute, and your input is as valuable as Jordan Peterson.
Thank you. That's for everybody.
Yes, and as well as you guys, you all.
And if you're listening right now, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Definitely.
So definitely like, share, and subscribe, you guys. We would really appreciate it if you guys did that, and if you rated our Spotify podcast as well, that would be very appreciated.
We're happy to make this episodes, and let's get back. So yes, Alondrita, what else can we talk about the dicho or the saying or the quote from the movie Sound of Freedom? God's children are not for sale.
So this dicho or this movie, I know that not a lot of people are ready to watch it because I understand that it triggers some people. because of some life experience that they've had. And I understand completely. Like, if you're not ready to talk about it, like, that's your own journey. But I feel like I really wish people were more aware of the severity or the intensity of this going on and how it affects children, even if they weren't trafficked. I feel like if there were people who really were awake enough to be like, to notice those red flags and to put their foot down and to defend their children when things like this happen. Because everybody here, if you're listening, I know you know somebody who has gone through something like this, and whatever has happened, it's just kind of like, where were the parents? And we can't really blame them, but it's kind of like
I know that you're saying as like, where are the parents? But it goes deeper than that. Like, where mentally and spiritually are the parents? Where are they?
Yeah, because
like, you have to not only be like location near,
like physically,
aware of your children. You have to be mentally aware of your children. You have to be spiritually aware of your children, so that you can tackle all those level of like knowing your child, and if there's something going on physically that he experienced, so that you can know something's going on.
I need to find out.
I have suspicions, or I have whatever, but I've caught on, because you have to be present for your kids.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people are not aware of, the big, or it's a huge deal to be a parent. That is something you can't just take lightly. Like, I just had a kid with my baby day, like whatever.
That's on you.
Like, that is a very big responsibility. And I mean, it's a blessing, but also you have to be aware of your children and their safety. And I don't know. I just feel like it's so, to me, it almost seems so impossible that it happens. Like,
I feel like
that it slips through your fingers.
I feel like not, and just in general, as like us as human beings, being a parent is one of the biggest tasks, the most important task given to us.
Yeah.
Because that is how we have made it this far in our family trees. That is how we've made it this far as humans living in the current times today, because our ancestors,
that's what God literally created us to procreate.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know where I was going with that one.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, so it's a very important thing within our society, within our evolution, so that if you even partake in the creation of a new human being, you have to know what you're getting yourself into, because it comes with all the responsibilities of that child's future and future of the world as well, because the children
are the future,
and depending on our current contribution to them and the environment that we're creating, it will be what we hand over to them.
Handing the baton.
Yeah.
Now, will that baton have global warming and a lot of trauma, or are you going to be nurturing and caring for the environment? Like, what are you giving off?
Right. And so if we were handed over something
by your own parents, by your past generation,
right, that wasn't that good, but now you have the baton.
What are you going to do with that?
You have the ability and the choices and the responsibility to either make it stop here, like it stops with me. I am healing those bad cards, bad hand that I was given, and I'm going to, from this point forward,
make that difference for
difference for the future of my children, or the children for the other people's children. Because you also, even if you don't have children, you're still contributing into a better future for them, or a worse. And and that's where, which one are you? That's the one.
What wolf are you feeding?
Exactly. And people who follow KEDICHO, I'm kidding. I was gonna do. People who follow KEDICHO are usually, people who follow KEDICHO are in the wanting to build a better future, because here at KEDICHO we believe
in feeding
the good wolf, and that's why these dichos were made, to give us knowledge and hints and so much richness to warn us to make better decisions.
Yes, sir.
And to add to that one, God's children are not for sale. It definitely is a dicho or a saying that needs to go farther and needs to give that thing, as in like it can become a dicho that people say to someone who's like, hey.
Is this a dicho that was in the Bible or something? Was he referencing some type of scripture?
Actually, I don't know. I think it's just a quote. At this point, it's not a dicho. It's a quote.
I actually don't know.
It's a quote from the movie, but
it's a dicho now.
We're wanting to include it here because the message of it's just so rich.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have. It's direct, as in like, and we're trying to break it down so like you can understand that. Why would children even be for sale? And we wanted to share that. Okay, yeah, because there's evil in the world. There's people who have
really bad intentions,
fallen so deeply into this very perverse and nasty thing, gross and evil, vile, and it's painful just to think about like what they do to these children.
And not only that, like the children who do survive these things, what are the consequences to those poor kids' psyche? Like what? Yes, they're saved, but now what? Like how are they going to be healing? Which is why we highly recommend you donate to the organization here at Operation Underground Railroad.
Right.
Where if you want to help these children out, you can donate there. We will have the link below where you can give money and to help those children, those survivors who obviously they have a whole life to continue after something so evil that they have lived.
And if it's not that one, there's definitely several agencies or several organizations that you can donate. And obviously for anything, do your own research as well. Same as us. We are talking about this one because it's related to the movie that we saw in it.
Yeah. And I just really felt like we really, in the message in the movie, in that special message at the end, he said that the Jim Caviezel, the actor, he just said that this movie and this message is not for people to live in fear. That's not what we want. We want people to be aware and be educated. And that is also why I felt like we needed to talk about this, because apart from the movie and apart from the podcasts, I haven't seen anybody else talk about this. I haven't seen people on TV. I haven't seen my favorite influencers talk about this. I haven't seen, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not very, like, not everybody's going to be talking about this. And if we're contributing anything, if we're even making this podcast, I don't want to just skip over this topic.
Right. And I mean, the biggest thing, we're helping on raise awareness on the big issue, which is human trafficking. And we're also raising awareness of like if the place that you can donate that we know so far,
which is here at the nonprofit organization Operation Underground Railroad with their website. But I know you mentioned the message of human trafficking, but I feel like more than anything, it's just pedophiles. Just be aware that this world has people who are predators.
That we have those parasites, that we have those individuals that
will do harm if they have the chance. And I don't know how else to say it. Just like, dude, wake up to what is really happening in this world.
For example, I did say like start researching and seeing what are they trying to do within society to make it easier for them to do this.
Yeah, wake up.
Like
to their schemes.
Wake up to reality, guys. This is going on. And like if you have to make decisions in life, and if it feels like you are in a fence of like, okay, so I don't know or I don't care,
or it doesn't affect me.
Right.
It's never affected me.
Right. I don't know, but yeah, start looking into it. Start seeing where this money goes, because it goes somewhere, right? These people are making money. These people are making and then they're investing in, so like they can.
Who are these people that you're talking about? These people.
The organized individuals who are receiving the money that these pedophiles are
giving in return for
right?
the child.
So they're getting this money. So what are they going to be doing using this money for? They're gonna invest in infrastructure. They're gonna invest in more. They're gonna invest in paying off more people and paying corrupt
organizations,
corrupt police, corrupt politicians, corrupt city people,
organizations, corporations.
Exactly. So that they can be like, hey, keep us on the low.
Yeah.
Shh. Let's not talk about this. But aquí en KEDICHO, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna expose it. We wanna spread awareness about this.
Yeah. So just
it's something we believe. I really do believe in the demolition of these organizations and the people who are involved, and definitely support the people who are currently fighting against that. And so far, like we said, we just know of Operations Underground Railroad, and Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel. They made this movie, and that's the only reason we know right now.
That's the only reason.
And if we haven't heard of any other one, what are you waiting to talk louder?
Scream it, people.
Scream it. Organizations, the other organizations, like, why are you not getting more support from people?
The thing is that because they're scared, because there's so many people with high power and high control who are in that industry, who by a snap of a finger, they can ruin your life.
You think so?
I believe so.
Is it because of fear?
I think so.
Well, now I'm thinking about...
Now I'm scared.
I know. Now I'm scared, guys.
No, KEDICHO is an ally for all those, for Underground Railroad. Like, I'm on that side.
Definitely. Definitely support. And we're going to continue raising awareness whenever we can. If a DICHO comes to touch the subject, we'll take a chance to, an opportunity to like announce it again, or yeah, just continue donating for them or donating to them. As KEDICHO, or as but yeah, definitely support. And I've never there's definitely been opportunities, like whenever I'm like in the line at either Walmart or like a store, and then they ask me, do you want to donate?
Yeah. There's something about that, isn't it? Like they don't actually donate it to the foundations.
I really don't know.
I've heard some things that they say that they are actually not doing that.
Yeah,
it's
I know what they...
A little scam.
Yes, they do.
Only a percentage.
But it's only so that they don't have to pay taxes, because they can write it off. As in like, hey, we're getting all this money from them, but then the business place donates it to that. So then, según lo usan para. So you're not really donating it. You're giving them a tax write-off type of thing.
Right. So obviously do your research when it comes to where you're donating your money. Go
directly to the sources. But yeah, definitely this is one of those organizations that like has really, I see their message, and like I'm so happy that they went as far as to be able to bring the message with a movie.
Man.
With a storytelling movie. And
because I feel like there's been movies that kind of touch on that topic, but it's only like a scene when it's like a rated R movie or like a sad movie where like, oh, this little girl, this happened to this little girl, and like this is her as a woman, whatever.
Like
right?
Taken.
I've never seen it.
It touches on the subject of human trafficking.
Oh, okay.
But it
briefly touches it. It's kind of like, here's kind of giving you the idea. This is what happened.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go into it like this movie.
Exactly.
And this movie, I feel like this movie was still kind of light about it.
Yeah. They did a pretty good job at
painting the picture of what is going on and the intensity and the fear that these children go through. I think that they did a perfect job at doing that, but obviously not literally showing what happens.
Correct. Yeah. And I bet that was in the mind of them because they wanted to focus on the message, not to make a movie that
it's not about pedophiles.
It's not about the pedophiles, not about the actors or the it's
not about the little girl.
The real story, right?
I mean, the little girl was real.
But
that's something.
It's about helping the children. Mm-hmm. And how is it going to help the children is by raising awareness, is by having more people get their hand, turn on their candle and raise it.
Yeah.
And the more people are raising those candles, definitely put your hand like this. I'm definitely going to edit here some candle, us holding some candles. And we're going to be raising our candles because we turned on our candles and we are a light to bring more awareness to this topic and talk about it. And I really do hope a lot more people
choose to raise their candle
to shine more light into this issue. I feel like we've been hammering this.
Yeah, because
so
I feel like
hard.
we've been saying so much, kind of repetitive, maybe. But it's like, gosh, I don't know how else to share this message. I don't know how else to explain it to people that this is a real scary issue that's going on.
I'll tell you how real it is for the Latino community. And did you ever remember being at a tienda and then your mom telling you, mira, si no te portas bien, te va a llevar ese señor?
And then it's like there's some guy over there in the corner doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
true.
What is it?
It's a canon event for every child.
Exactly. As in, like, Latino parents know there is people, señores,
who will rob you,
que se llevan los niños.
And but that was it. You know,
exactly.
To that extent, we didn't know what happened to us.
Pero ahí te como medio te educaban ahí un poquillo porque decían,
me voy a portar bien.
Me voy a portar bien porque si no me va a llevar el señor. Pero then it started creating that like that notion as in like, oh, hay señores que llevan, and so they plant this little. So you're over here
fear
looking
of, like, strangers.
You're looking at.
Oh my gosh. You know that. Okay, so I'm gonna tell a little story. Mm-hmm. Not about the chicken. Hold on.
Okay.
But, so from what I've explained in my past podcasts is that I had a lot of fear growing up as a child. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was from men, strange men, like stranger men. And oh my gosh. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I never have known why. And now it's kind of scary because I had that dream. Hold on. But I remember when I would go to school, I would have to walk I lived in the suburbs in a neighborhood, and at that time who would take me to school was an aunt of mine who lived on the road behind my street. Mm-hmm. So like in the same neighborhood, I just had to go across the like cul-de-sac to the next road, right? Or not cul-de-sac, but like to the next street, which is like a 2-3 minute walk, maybe 5-minute walk. Yeah. And I remember I was in tennis already. I was already in 7th grade at this time. So I was not a little girl, but like that's a little girl. Yeah. And I remember, man, I would just walk on that sidewalk and I had anxiety through the roof. It was 7 a.m., maybe 7:30. Nobody was like obviously out in the streets. Mm-hmm. And I would just walk with my tennis racket in my hand, just like gripping it, praying to God that nothing happens. And the thing is like...
Wait, like you're grabbing it and like you're ready to swing it?
Yeah, I was ready for anything. Okay. And things that I always had this extreme anxiety. And I remember this one time this señor was walking on that road, on that sidewalk, and obviously I had to cross him. Mm-hmm. And oh man, I was pooping, shitting bricks, throwing up, and my heart was racing, and I just decided to get off the sidewalk and just walk in the middle of the street. Mm-hmm. And nothing happened, thank God. And I don't think anything was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why I was always deathly, extremely afraid of men. Right. I don't know why. But
it was a real fear that you experienced like as a child and growing up.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I will put it out there. Gracias a Dios, nada nunca has ever happened to me. I have never been SA'd or abused or in any way or manner. So I don't know where that fear came from.
Right.
But I remember that vividly now that we're talking about the topic. Right. And I remember another instance as well. I was also in 7th grade. And I was like, where were your parents, girl? Oh, they were working. And this was after school. So after school, my aunt would also drop me off. And we lived in the same neighborhood, like 3 minutes, 5-minute walk. Oh. And I had my own little key, and I was the first one home every day after school, because my sister was in high school. She would get out a little later. My parents would get out a little later after that. So I remember, oh man, and my heart is racing. I don't know why my heart is racing. I remember, and I was home alone. I was after school, I turn on my TV. I do my regular thing. I put my backpack down. I get my little dog out to go pee because he was still potty training in the backyard. I turn on the TV. I put SpongeBob on. I get my Lunchable from the refrigerator. I'm like, I'm good. I'm chilling.
You're getting from school routine.
Yeah, right? Just like I don't have anything else to do apparently. Obviously.
Which one would you turn on? Sorry, which cartoon channel?
Nickelodeon.
Okay.
So whatever. I think it was like the Mighty Bee. That was what was on at the time. So I was like, all right, let's just do my little routine. I get my dog back in and I'm chilling. And I remember there was a knock at the door. And at this time, I would still open doors. Okay. Never again after that. Okay. What? So
that's the root. You're talking about the root cause or reason why you don't
answer phone calls?
No.
Oh.
Doors. Knocking at the door.
I just realized my own traumas. Okay, anyway, so there's a knock on the door and I didn't know who it was. At the time, I don't even think I had a cell phone. I was still in 7th grade. So I had I didn't know who it was. I didn't know what to do. So I tried to look through the side window and I couldn't see anybody. And I was like, okay, let me just open the door. And at the time I couldn't reach the peephole at all. There was a peephole, but I couldn't reach it. So I was completely blindly opening this door. And I was, like I said, I was still afraid. That was the same time of year in my life when I had that racket walking to my aunt's house. Yeah. So I open it I crack it open just to see what's going on. And I have my foot there. Like, in case, have you ever tried to stop a door with your foot? Yeah. Like, you put it there and you can't open it?
It's a trick.
Yeah, it's a trick. So I had it there, and mind you, I was 7th grade, small, short, little, skinny girl. And I opened the door, and there's this white, tall, strange señor, this man. He was a little chunky, but that doesn't matter, honestly. He was a white, strange man. And he was like, hello, are your parents home? And something inside me just turned on, and I remember, never say you're alone if you're alone.
Who told you that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's always been a thing. Like, if somebody knocks on the door and asks you, hey, are your parents home? The dumbest thing you can say is,
I was no. That dumb kid. I would have been that dumb kid. Okay, I was dumb as a kid. Okay, I'm just letting you know. Okay, I would have said like, no, estamos solitos.
No, you know what? They're actually out of the country right now. Like, right? Imagine. Yeah, and in that moment, I froze, and me being a goody two-shoes, I'm not a liar. So I couldn't, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what lie to come up with in that moment. Be like, oh, she's actually in the bathroom or whatever. So in the moment, I was just staring, and I was like, oh, I'm actually home alone. And I'm not going to tell this strange man I'm home alone. So what did I do? I shut it in his face, and I lock it immediately. And I'm like, oh my God. And that's all I did. Like, I just shut it in his face and I locked the door.
Girl, you were something else, girl.
I didn't know what else to say. I didn't know what to do. And I was so, scared shitting bricks, scared shitless. Yeah. And that's the only thing I could do. And I was like, all right, like, I'm not ever opening the door to anybody ever again.
Was it quick? Like, was it like how long do you think it was?
Well, the thing is that in your head, you picture... In your head, when something's going on, you picture it slow motion, but in reality, it probably didn't take more than 5 seconds, you know? So I don't think it took that long. He knocks. I'm just like, I can't see. Let me open it a little. Hi, are your parents home? Lock it, close it, slam it. Yeah.
Okay.
It was not that long of an interaction, but that was the end of that story. And ever since then, you guys, I do not open the door, even if I know who it is. I I guess that's why. I've always had this quotation, irrational fear of strangers and or the unknown or not knowing or being alone. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but even thinking of that, like, it kind of makes me tremble. Oh my God.
No, I feel it though. Knowing what I know now, and like
these stories of me,
if this dude was actually unsafe out to get you, you did pretty much have like about a 10-second window to like save yourself. And if it was, you did it in 5 seconds.
Right.
And then like you definitely, that guy was probably like, ching.
I don't know what he was selling.
But
probably not, but la cosa es que uno nunca sabe. Uno nunca sabe until it happens to you.
I know.
Like that guy from the movie in an interview, one of the actors said, don't wait until this tragedy happens to you for you to realize, for you to wake up.
Wake up now.
Yeah, wake up now. Do something about it. And so for me, exactly, light up your candle. Yeah. And I don't know why I've always had this, I don't even know if it's irrational, but it makes sense to me a little more now that we're talking.
I can tell you this, Alondra. You were more awake earlier on as a kid than I was, okay?
I've known that. I'm sorry. And not just comparing myself to you, but comparing myself to a lot of people. Right. I've known that.
But the thing is that you lived in like fear.
I did.
I didn't. I was naive. I was dumb. I was naive. Yeah,
you didn't know.
I didn't know.
For you, everything was sunflowers, or at least everything was just here. Mm-hmm. This is what you see is what's real.
But for you to live an experience of a child, you were a child. And you already had like this, like, no, señor, no.
Exactly. Y la cosa es que nothing had ever happened to me before. Nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't understand.
That is like, where do you trace this fear from?
You can just say generational trauma, maybe.
Right?
That could be it.
Okay. You know that a lot of people believe that you have multiple lives in this earth, right?
Yeah.
And like what you told me that you had a dream last night freaking triggered that knowledge of me, that knowing that people believe and have multiple lives.
Yeah.
There's a belief in this world, in this planet. A lot of religions know this, or a lot of spiritualists, that we are here multiple times as spirit having different experiences. So we had a previous life here, okay?
Maybe that's what the idea of an old soul. Someone who's just wise beyond their years. Somebody who has lived and seen things and
correct.
Kind of have that in their subconscious.
So when you told me your dream this morning, Alondra, before we recorded this morning today.
That's the first thing I told you about my dream.
Because I was like, Alondra, I had a weird dream today, and then you're like, I had a weird dream too. I need to tell you. Mm-hmm. So it was meant for us to tell each other our dreams, but
the thing is that I didn't. I told you the dream. It was weird. I told you the ending. That was weird. But now, right now, as we're speaking, and I told you about my childhood scary moments of my terrors as a child. Yeah, that kind of makes it weirder.
Like, it makes sense.
I don't want it to make sense.
Right, because it's out there, guys. All right, guys, listen to this.
Do you want to hear the dream?
Baby, that's very interesting. I'll just tell you that. It's very interesting. And when you told me, and you were telling me the story, like as a dream, like as me being prepped for a dream, and then you tell me the details, and then you tell me that last sentence, I was just like, it like made that story like clip. Like,
I didn't like it. I just want to preface this. I just want a disclaimer here that this is very triggering for some people, so I don't want it. Please listen to this.
Pure discretion is advised in this.
So I had a dream, and in my dreams, I never know that I'm dreaming. Okay. Some people do. For me, I'm living it in the moment. So in my dream, I wake up, and I'm awake, and I look around, and I see that I'm in a nasty ass, musty ass, stanky ass, crusty dusty mobile home, and everything's like orangey, kind of like a smoker home's house, you know. That's what I picture.
Right. Like it was painted white and it was smoke.
Old
wood,
Woody, like very orange toned.
Okay.
Everything is just like so and like como que es mediodía or like sunset vibes. And like everything's like golden.
Wait, mediodía?
No mediodía, pero like evening.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, like golden. Everything's like gold, and like there's a giant window or something, like just lighting. Everything's just gold, but not like sunset gold.
Okay.
But not pretty because it's musty and dusty and crusty.
No sunrise gold?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Huh.
Either sunrise gold or
sunset
gold. Okay.
Well, the point is that I'm waking up, so it could have been sunrise. So I'm waking up and I'm on like this pull-out couch type of thing in a living room, and it's crusty, dusty, musty in there. It's gross, it's dirty, and I get up and I'm obviously I don't know that I'm dreaming, so I'm waking up and there's this other unknown person waking up next to me, just like getting up, and I see like it's this strange señor. It's a guy, it's a man, and I don't know how old I am, I don't know, whatever. And he's getting up, and I kind of just look around and I see him. He's just walking, I guess, across the living room, and he's walking very weirdly. And the way that I described it to Alejandro, he's just like swinging his arms a little, like kind of like cartoony, just like creepily, just like going like this. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It just gave me the heebie-jeebies, just like.
Right.
Hasta asco me da, like dolor de panza just thinking about it, and it's so weird.
Yeah.
As I got up and I saw this guy also get up, I kind of felt like I recognized these muebles. Like this very orange wooden stained muebles just in the house.
Like it seemed familiar.
Like, exactly. Like I could picture the room still. It just seemed so familiar. And I see this guy just like standing up and start like swaying, walking, just like kind of slow-mo, just kind of like, and it just thinking about it makes my stomach me da asco.
Girl.
Me está dando un asco. I could throw up at. And then in the dream, I remember feeling this pit in my stomach of just like, oh snap. Oh, like, shit.
Like dread, like fear,
like danger, like that little me in 7th grade, that danger, that pit in my stomach, like, oh man. And I looked to the door and I'm like, okay. And I thought like, am I gonna make it? And so like, as soon as I get that thought, I try to make a run for it, but I don't know, like it didn't happen. He grabbed me by my arm. I remember him. He got me by my arm. And I just start screaming bloody murder. And he's pulling me back into like this hallway or something. I don't know. And I remember just grabbing myself onto those muebles. And in my head, I just knew that I could not overpower him. My strength did not compare. And I don't know how, but I knew that this was going to lead to SA. Right. I just knew, like, this was just a dream, this is what was going on in my head. I just knew. Right. And I don't know how it happened, but I escaped. And I just remember running through these parking lots of like never ending parking lots. Eventually I escaped, like through the window or something. I don't know. Right. Yeah. Like you force yourself somehow. Yeah, somehow I'm like running through these parking lots and just like so many cars just trying to hide.
Now, was it dark or was it light?
I just remember I could see.
You can see. Okay.
Yeah, I can just see. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It was weird. Dreams don't really make sense.
You were just running.
Yeah, I was just running, like heart racing. And sometimes when a night terror or a dream or a nightmare could be so intense that it wakes you up. Right. Yeah. So within those moments of running through the parking lots, I remember just like panting and like relieved and just like, dang, like I got away. And I remember here's the thing. I don't remember exactly if I was already awake here, like in this world or still in the dream world, where I had this thought in my head where it said, this was you in your past life.
Oh God, girl. That's the part that got me. I was just like, oh.
I know, exactly. And
like some narration voice out there, like,
whatever.
This was you in your past life.
This was your past life. That's what it was. This was your past life.
Freaking A, girl.
And like I said, I don't know if that was, obviously I was still asleep. Like I didn't just think that. Right. Either I was like coming back from that dream or that was in the dream. I don't know. But I remember that vividly. And that's when I woke up and I was like, oh my God. And trying to, realize that I'm here. I'm in my room next to my husband. Like it was just a dream type of thing. And I just tried to take a deep breath and I felt like a suspiro, just like a deep, right, like sigh of relief maybe. Yeah. Of like, oh, it was just a dream. And then when I told you that, in reality, I've never had a dream like this in my life. Like I said, I mentioned before, I have never been SA'd. I have never been abused. I have never been in any of that. But I had a dream like that. And maybe it could have been because of the movie.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Like it was in your mind.
Yeah.
Or hear stories or whatever, right? But it's still very interesting that it's, first of all, it's, you even remember that you heard that voice saying, this was you in your past life.
Like, I've never had a dream that said that to me.
And then the other thing I find very interesting is that you felt the place was familiar.
Yeah.
I guess, and like you knew it already.
And the thing is that and I told you this, and I've told you this before, I've only ever dreamt of my home, my childhood home. Mm-hmm. I haven't dreamt of this house yet. Oh. The one I live in right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't dream of that.
And then you were in some random place,
I was in
right?
some random house. I've never dreamt of a house that I don't
But
know
it's because it's very, I don't know, from my perspective, it's like, it's very hard evidence that like whatever that voice told you, you were probably reliving a scene of your past life or something familiar, something in between reality, in between dream, in between, like, oh, girl, that's too many coincidences, too many. And then
it kind of,
and ahorita,
with the real childhood stories that I just said. The stories
that you've shared with me.
Like the high anxiety for no reason.
Like, why?
Scared of strangers, scared of phone calls. I don't know.
Girl.
I don't know. But it's just interesting to think about it like that. It's just interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm not saying that I believe it.
And if it is, it's still interesting. And if it's not, it's still interesting. Yeah. Like,
very coincidental.
The hell?
Yeah.
I find it very interesting.
But it's also kind of sad.
It's
in reality, that's sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
If a little girl is still suffering for whatever happened, that's sad.
I know.
Little me who in this life hadn't lived anything was still paying that.
Right.
Imagine for those kids who live that today.
Exactly.
Damn.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna go cry now. Oh God.
I know, and it makes that and that's why I cried.
Yeah.
Because I thought about the kids that are still in that scenario, and
right now as we speak.
Damn.
Yeah.
And that's yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. I can't.
That is what I wish did not happen.
Did not exist.
Yeah. Did not exist. It's not part of this world or a possibility, and it's sad to know that is a possibility, and that is a reality a lot of kids live in
and suffer the consequences of that.
And I know, I mean, in the movie and in real life, this Tim Ballard and his team and the people, they rescue kids. Yeah, they give them their freedom. These kids that are rescued and do see freedom, they still have those traumas. And they still have those experiences and those awful experiences. And
I'm sure it doesn't compare to the dream I just described.
Exactly. And that scares me. That gave me creeps.
Yeah.
And like, just to know that's even in a dream, it's like, but imagine real life. I don't want to even imagine.
Which is why we really felt called to just talk about it.
Definitely.
And it's a hard topic to talk about. And we feel it is weighing. And I know that, at least letting people know this is the reality. Just keep an eye out for your own kids, take care of those who are close to you. That way they don't have to go through things like this.
Yeah. And join the awareness group. Light up that candle.
Yeah.
And just be one more individual who has his light on and their candle on and it's aware and it's against that. So whenever the more light there is, there less areas there is for this people to hide in.
Mm-hmm. And definitely I also recommend you guys speak up for those kids who probably, if they don't believe them. I believe those kids if they tell you something is going on.
And I know this is a very, because it kind of is related, but it's not in human trafficking, but it is in SA or sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Where Latino communities kind of like don't want the SA person to be known, or like they don't, no lo denuncian, no lo sacan porque like arruina
es familia.
Es familia y todo eso. No.
Aquí acaba con nosotros, honestly.
That really does end there. And should end there. And the quietness is what
being quiet, staying quiet is already choosing a side.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do feel like it doesn't matter who that person was. Call them out. Defend those children who have no voice. And
because it's that intrusive thought that got in and happened and made
family.
that happen, and it needs to be
nipped
like
in the butt.
Cesar Milan. Basta ya. Tú no haces eso ya.
Exactly.
Para nadie, para ningún otro. Yo sé que pasó aquí, pero ya de aquí ya no hay otro.
Yeah.
Aquí ya no. You're not welcome. You're known for this, and
you're done.
They just need to be in the light so that it stops there. Because if not, if there is no speaking up, they're just gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because they already did it once. So what's for them to stop them
exactly
to do it again? And I'm a big advocate for that. And if anything, that's another thing that I support. That is helping those individuals who survived their that they're survivor.
Yeah,
and you know who you are, and 100% there.
Okay.
All right. So, guys, thank you for sticking through to this episode. This probably is one of those episodes that is like very heavy and like heavy topic.
Right now, sorry, I feel the same way after the movie again. Yeah. It's kind of like very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have any words anymore because I'm just gonna cry.
Yeah, like this is only the beginning. Like I know it's like they even said in the movie. It's like I know the movie ended, but it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
The journey to stopping this has just begun. And for us, we are ending this episode, but it's the end of the episode, but it's only the beginning for the change to a positive world. And we're only beginning on having more people with that lit up candle and being that light for the rest of the children and the future that comes ahead. But yes.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was very well said.
Thank you. It just came at this point. It's like this is not scripted. This is not notes that we took. Yeah. It's just how it's coming and
from the heart.
From the heart, exactly. From the heart. And thank you for being here in this episode.
Yeah,
this
thank
is
you
the
guys.
end of the KEDICHO Podcast episode.
Yeah. Go hug your family. Tell them you love them.
Yes.
For us, and
that too.
Spread some positivity today.
My name's Alejandro Lubiano.
My name's Alondra Lubiano.
And this was the KEDICHO Podcast, episode 13.
God's children are not for sale.
Los niños de Dios no están en venta. Goodbye.
Bye, guys. Love you.